There. Okay.
Hey everyone, what's going on? I'm here with Vinny Apicella.
Yes, trying to work out the kinks with the YouTube program. So just give us a second. I didn't realize that we had to redo stuff. Oh, authorize. There we go. Okay, let me sign this in, and I'll be Big Lou, if you could take over and talk for a little while.
So we're going to have a special guest today. He's going to be calling in about 15 minutes. We're going to be talking about a few different subjects. The Yankees may come around in the conversation, and one of the great things about doing live shows is we can have live guests or call-ins. The phone number is 1-866-485-0066. And if you whatever you want to chew on the subject we're chewing on, call in. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time. Coming up this week on Friday, we've got Cold 43 interviews. That's at 8 p.m. Friday night. And next Friday night, I'm really happy. Heart of Vale. Heart of Vale is this great chick band, man. And I do a chick power hour. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I do a chick power hour, my friend. It's a really good time.
All right. Well, we are live on YouTube.
All right, live.
YouTube.com/Sportswire SWE.
Yep.
As usual, my name is Vinny Apicella.
And I'm Lou Russo.
And we are here with the Sportswire Live. We will be having a live call-in today from Booker T. McJunkin. He is the head coach of the New Haven Venom semi-pro football team. And we've got a lot of music here. We got a few songs that we're going to be playing. And for you viewers out there that are watching live on YouTube, you won't have to just see us bebopping to the song. We actually got the logo, so you could look up the singers, because we're here to promote local music, local bands, and anything.
Yeah,
anything local
or indie
or
independent.
Exactly,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some people, it's funny. There's people out there that don't like to use the word independent.
Right.
And it's like, what's wrong with that? They want to classify them. They want to get out of the local scene. I mean, they'll always, why not say the word independent?
I don't know. I think independent has a stigma because you're not signed to a label, and local kind of means you're working towards a local your local area geographically.
Yeah.
Because indie has kind of crossed over from music, and it's being accepted in the wrestling world.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, in the 70s, before the WWE became big, all you had were the local independent, the local territories.
Yeah. Try to knock on that. It goes through.
Yeah. You had the local territories. So when WWE and TNA and Ring of Honor, even beforehand when you had WCW and ECW, indie became the territories, the independent scene. Like we have NEW here in Connecticut,
which essentially was the local scene.
Exactly.
Right. So they work side by side.
They do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I don't know why bands are trying to get out of the indie label. I think indie shows that you're available. In my opinion, you're available to be signed.
Absolutely.
Just like, with like the independent baseball, the St. Paul Saints, they're, the Atlantic League with the Bridgeport Bluefish, they're independents.
Yes.
Whether they're on the decline of their career or the beginning of their career and they haven't gotten signed, or even the semi-pro football teams that will be, that I'll be talking about going through the season, they're all independent because they're not affiliated with the NFL.
Right.
They're not affiliated with the Major League Baseball or the WWE, depending on what sport or sport entertainment you're talking about. But with music, I think everybody just wants to be signed.
Right.
Which I don't know.
And, there are some great artists out there. And whether they want to classify themselves as a part of the local brotherhood or the independent empire, I mean, either way, I've noticed a lot of the more folkish Americana bands, stuff like that, they like to call themselves independent. Mm-hmm. And the metal bands and the hip, they like to go local.
Right.
So, solo artists like the independent thing.
Right.
Yep. In my dealings, 571 interviews, I've used words local when they want to hear independent and vice versa. So
right. I think independent kind of has its roots in the whole hippie generation back in the 70s, and
I'm sure
people wanted to show that they were not signed with the public masses, or they were bucking the system, so to speak.
Right.
Nowadays, when you're local, so to speak, you understand that you're basically playing in bars or smaller venues rather than big stadiums, because obviously with Metallica they're going to be playing the Dallas Stadium, the AT&T Stadium.
I've seen Metallica
really
a couple times. New Haven Coliseum, Woodstock. Dude,
wow,
they're just badass.
Now you're just dating yourself.
I didn't even know. I thought you were or at least my age. I didn't realize I was 5 years older than you.
No, I've never sseen Metallica in concert, but I will say the best live performance concert that I have seen is Rob Zombie.
Oh, they're great. Did you see him, Rob Zombie, or White
Zombie?
Rob Zombie, yeah.
Yeah, I saw him at Ozfest '99.
Oh, so Astro Creep?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And then
very nice, very nice.
And then I actually ended up seeing Marilyn Manson at Ozfest 2003.
Wow.
Which that was a pretty awesome show itself.
I've seen so many great bands. I've seen a 4-hour concert, Nothing But Ozzy at the Coliseum. I've seen Guns N' Roses and Bush. Bush opened up for Guns N' Roses.
Yep.
I saw the iconic concert where Bush was standing in the rain playing Glycerine.
Really?
They had to shut everything down at Woodstock '99, and because it was pouring, and we were all out in the crowd. We were all and all of a sudden you hear the opening E, and I'm like, what? And he just, the one light on him, man, and it gives me goosebumps right now thinking about it, dude. It was just beautiful, man. Just a beautiful moment, and that's part of their actual video, I believe.
Yeah,
because that song, I'm not sure if that song was out yet. I think it was out that year. They didn't make a video for it yet, but it was beautiful.
It's amazing how sometimes things just happen,
right?
Because obviously Woodstock was being filmed for pay-per-view.
Right.
I remember watching it on the Scrambler box, and when you're recording something, people could, you could get them either way. You can get the footage,
right?
And if you're going to use the footage for a video, it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But before we get into our guest is going to be Booker T. McJunkin. Like I said, he'll be calling in actually in probably about 10 minutes or so, and before we get into that, I will let you all know that coming up on June 13th at M&J Video Games and Collectibles on Queen Street in Southington, WWE Hall of Famer Bob Backlund will be there signing autographs. He will be there. It's on the 13th. I believe it'll be 3 to 5 p.m. As always, you can check out our websites, which are www.swe-ct.com, as well as myfatcatradio.com. We are also on, like I said, streaming live on YouTube, and all of the shows that you hear on Fat Cat Radio end up being directly uploaded to YouTube at youtube.com/SportswireSWE. You could follow us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/SportswireCT, or facebook.com/Fat Cat Radio Enterprises.
Enterprise, yep.
Enterprise, okay.
Yeah. Fat Cat Radio was taken by some guys in Illinois.
And then on Twitter, SoundCloud, Pinterest, Foursquare, and we're going to be getting a few more set up soon as well. But you can follow us at www.twitter.com or whatever other social media you want. It's going to be SWE Connecticut. And, our video or our shows go directly to SoundCloud as well, which is Sportswire SWE Connecticut. So we're everywhere.
Yeah.
Fat Cat Radio is everywhere.
Yes.
As Sportswire is everywhere. We got a big benefit actually coming up on September the 20th. It's a Ride for Lexi in New Britain, Connecticut. I met Lexi Zinzalet, and she is fantastic. I believe she's a teenager, but she was born with brittle bones disease, and they're having a poker run for benefiting her. And Fat Cat Radio and Sportswire, we will be there, possibly broadcasting live.
Right, I'm hoping for that, and I'm collecting up some compact discs for sales. 100% is going to go towards the brittle bones disease.
Great.
I've got 3 artists who are going to send us some CDs so far.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get some people to come and do some live music too,
Awesome.
acoustic.
Well, there will be a band there already.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, they're not going to play the whole time. You know,
right.
So.
I'm working on getting some bands and stuff. I'm going to talk to the Hartford Wolfpack, see maybe we can get some tickets donated.
That'd be nice.
Just even for raffles, and then try to get people to sign up and
right.
Definitely help out a great cause.
So have we contacted our guest, or
I have contacted him. I told him to call in about 7:15, and so in about 4 minutes he should be calling us.
Sounds good.
And last night we were supposed to have a football game actually with the Connecticut Panthers and the Brooklyn Seminoles from Falcon Field in Meriden. The game ended up getting rained out. Now I know you're probably asking yourself, why did a football game get rained out? Well, it wasn't necessarily the rain that caused the rain out; it was the lightning.
Yeah.
They really take the safety of their fans seriously.
Absolutely.
Because when you're dealing with metal bleachers and the fans are out there, you don't want to be there in a lightning storm.
Nope.
So the game was canceled. I'm not sure when it's going to be rescheduled, if it will, because it is preseason, even though it's for national ranking. The Panthers don't officially start their season until July 18th. So once that happens, we will be bringing you all the live home games here on Fat Cat Radio. Also, Booker T. McJunkin of the New Haven Venoms, their season starts, I believe, next week. So, we'll be talking to him about that. Maybe we'll bring you some games there. And we're also going to be looking at possible cross-promotion with NEW, New England Wrestling, or Northeast Wrestling, excuse me. They have a big show coming up on the 27th. And they're going to be back at the Bethany Town Hall. And they're going to have the big main event there is Connecticut hardcore icon Ron Zombie. He'll be facing, the Army of One, Brian Anthony. And that's going to be a great match in
itself. That's a cool name.
Yeah.
Army of One.
Army of One. And his gimmick is actually pretty sweet as well. His gimmick is one of, it's a gothic feel, being out in the the graveyard and everything. That's how his video is. And I got to hand it to him. There's a lot of indie, there we go with the word indie again.
Yeah.
There's a lot of indie wrestling promotions that are just really awesome. They are, they're really trying to be, not trying, they know that they're not the WWE. They don't have the production value, because obviously at the Bethany Town Hall you can only fit maybe 150 people,
right? Compared
to
but it's quality, not quantity.
Exactly.
So. And
the other thing about the indie events, like I was sharing on our last show, you really get more fan interaction with with the indies. You get a lot more fan interaction. They're able to chant and
a lot of people don't understand, just because it's not like the big WWE and stuff like that. If you go to these things regularly, it has the same type of feel and the same type of course as you would see on television with Raw and all that stuff. So
you're absolutely right. And I mean, like my very first indie event, besides, when I was a kid, I would go to the North Haven Fair, which the NEW will be back at the North Haven Fair this year, September 13th. But, besides going to the actual indie events, my very first indie event was at the Bethany High School, actually, in September of 2013.
Nice.
That was actually the finale show of CTWE, Connecticut Wrestling Entertainment. And it was a great show. I will say that, they're always trying to be, close to the WWE.
Right.
Because, they have the video screen, they're bringing in, big name stars. And, the production value is obviously not there, but you never know. You support indie wrestling, and you get a lot of these guys moved up to, say,
exactly.
NXT.
They get noticed.
Exactly.
The more buzz, the better.
Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Every musician started out somewhere small. Every wrestler started out somewhere small. They got recruited or, probably picked off the street because they were monsters.
Yeah. Well, you're right, because, you hear stories. The Big Show, for example, he was actually playing, I believe, in a charity basketball event, and Hulk Hogan happened to notice him, 7-foot tall guy, and said, why don't you come and, get into wrestling, and he did. He went to the WCW power plant, and 20 years later, he's one of the, he's definitely a future Hall of Famer, and it's the same thing. I will say that indie wrestling actually got a huge boost from the WWE last night at WWE's Elimination Chamber special. They ended up having Kevin Owens, who was known on the independent scene as Kevin Steen. He was also in Ring of Honor, but never got the national exposure until he came into NXT. He's the NXT heavyweight champion right now, and he beat John Cena on the pay-per-view, and in his very first WWE main roster match, and just showing that he's wrestled for 15 years. He just hasn't been given the exposure.
Right.
So when you're that good, you end up getting your exposure, and that's exactly what WWE did yesterday. They gave the indies a boost, as to say, you know what, we're not the only game in town, and competition is good for everybody. So why not give them a boost?
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that too, because the thing is, everybody needs a little help sometime.
Right.
And look at the backyard wrestling thing.
Yeah.
That kind of made its way up and down.
Yeah, I did.
Up and down.
And for those of you who've been following my career from the Sportswire back in 97, 98, 99, all the way up to 2004 when we were on public access, I did the backyard wrestling. With the PHW, Professional Hardcore Wrestling in West Haven.
Yeah, you were part of that?
I was.
Frank the Tank?
Frank the Tank, I believe, yeah. Unless
Frank Silva?
Unless he came in after I did it.
He's your age. So
then, yeah, I probably had a couple of mix-ups with him.
Yeah, they used to have so much fun in West Haven.
Oh, yeah.
We used to I used to be there with them.
Really?
We used to have me, okay. Michelle Fiorillo, Howard Gaffin, and we used to all hang out there, and that was a lot of fun, though. It was a lot of fun. And I just want to take a step back on that, on the whole. You were mentioning Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan even started out as a young independent wrestler.
Yeah.
And you know that he credits Jim Sciano for his shake.
Yeah.
Jim Sciano. Now, Jim Sciano was one of my great friends growing up's father.
Really?
And yeah, he was in the wrestling circuit for a long time, and he taught Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan has publicly credited him for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird, just knowing the little things.
Absolutely.
Little things like the gorilla press from the Ultimate Warrior or something like that.
Right.
Those little things come from somewhere.
Oh, absolutely.
And just like WWE, it comes from independent wrestlers.
And Hulk Hogan will be the first one to tell you. It's amazing. You look at Hulk, the two arguably biggest names in wrestling history, Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And
two separate leagues. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they both said that, if it wasn't for the indies, like Hulk Hogan, the very first time he started getting trained, Hiro Matsuda broke his leg.
Wow.
And said, if you're going to make it, you're going to come back. And he thought for a while he was going to go back into being a rock star, a rock musician, because he had his band and everything, but he ended up coming back. And look at, amazingly, I will say this, he started out his career as Terry Boulder, and then, eventually transitioned to being Terry the Hulk Bolea, or whatever the case was. The original Hulk Hogan, the original character of Hulk Hogan was originally offered to a man in Hamden, Connecticut, actually, Mike Katz. He played for the Jets. He won a Super Bowl with the Jets. Ended up becoming the PE teacher at Hamden High.
Oh, that's cool.
Owning World Gym before it got sold to Planet Fitness. And he was actually originally offered the role of Hulk Hogan.
That's awesome.
And passed it over. And
they had that guy molded before he even became himself.
Exactly.
Like the Ultimate Warrior. I mean,
right.
I wonder how they molded him. Thinking of, do you remember his first match?
His first match in WWE.
It was WWF.
Right, WWF.
Yeah, WWF.
Time, right.
It was for the Intercontinental Championship against the Honky Tonk Man.
That was his first exposure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Greg the Hammer Valentine was supposed to fight wrestle Honky Tonk.
No, it wasn't Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Who was it?
It was I believe it was Brutus Barber Beefcake.
Oh, he didn't show up.
He couldn't show up. He was injured.
Oh,
The storyline being that Outlaw Ron Bass used his one of his many tools of the trade, because being an outlaw, that was his gimmick, and he really sliced up Brutus Beefcake's face.
Oh, all right.
And that's why they had a Honky Tonk do an open challenge, and Warrior came out and
was
gave
it
him
8 seconds or so? Yeah, 12, 13 seconds. Yeah. That was great. I remember seeing that live, man. It was a whirlwind.
Absolutely,
he changed the game.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Because at that time, you look at like the wrestlers from the past, and 70s, 80s, 60s, 70s, they really weren't in shape. Yeah. So you look at a guy who's got fitness model good looks.
Right.
He's built, he's got the abs and everything, and they're probably steroids, but whatever the case may be, you have him coming in with a ball of energy. And I remember watching a documentary on The Ultimate Warrior and how they came up with his music. It was just because he was so intense himself.
Yeah.
So, coming in there, running to the ring, not even giving Honky Tonk Man a chance to get the title belt off of him before, beating him.
That was beautiful.
It was a great match. And, you could relive all these things on the WWE Network, $9.99 a month. There's my cheap plug for Vince.
It's changed so much. I mean, we used to just have Mean Gene Oakland, who do the hype before the and then there was the wrestling match with a little bit of crowd interaction, a table here, a fenced up a steel cage match there, specialty type of things,
right?
And then now it's different. Now it's drama. It's almost like a very hardcore soap opera,
and that's exactly what Vince was going for.
Entertainment,
exactly, and that's exactly what Vince was going for. When he came out back in the late 90s, he actually came out in the 80s and said, this is sports entertainment, simply because New Jersey wasn't going to allow the wrestling to go on from their athletic commission or whatever it was for some reason. And he came out and said, well, it's not really sports, it's sports entertainment. And that's where, that whole sports entertainment came out with. But he did something smart. In 1997, he came out publicly and said, we've been insulting your intelligence as wrestling fans, and this is basically the genesis of the Attitude Era. And he came out and said, look, the simple fact of the matter is this: it's not sports per se.
Right.
Yes, the guys are athletic, and it takes a modicum of athletic ability to do what they do.
It sure does.
But it's not a sporting competition. Right. It's entertainment. It pulls in all kinds of stuff.
And people really do get hurt, though, sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
What was his name? What was that Hawaiian guy?
There were a bunch of them.
Broke his neck.
Oh, well,
Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Yeah.
You remember when he broke his neck?
Yes.
People have had real serious injuries. I mean, Roddy Piper got injured really good.
Oh, yeah. Darren Drozdov.
He
was a former Denver Broncos lineman, came into the WWE. He broke his neck for a botched move. It's just amazing. Guys get hurt. Jeff Hardy, being as daredevil as he was, he actually broke his leg outside of the ring. But regardless, it's amazing because you see guys going through tables and everybody's like, oh, well, they know how to land and all that. But when you're laying on the top of two tables and you have a guy like Bubba Ray Dudley coming down on you, you get hurt.
I'm telling you, man, I have a lot of respect. My back is messed up. I have a hard time putting my shoes on.
Yeah.
Let alone getting flipped over or pile drived,
Well, look at Mick Foley.
Right.
And Mick Foley. And he ended up really getting hurt numerous times, coming off the top of the Hell in a Cell back in 98, which really cemented his legacy, unfortunately. That's what he's known for. But, he'll tell you he can barely bend down and put on his own shoes. And I remember watching him and Antonio Sabato Jr. on Celebrity Wife Swap. And, they were just going through how Mick Foley has his wife do everything for him because he can't bend down to tie his shoes, And, it's amazing to see that. It
is.
What these guys do to entertain us as fans, and then, being able to go out there and then, really screwing up the rest of their lives.
Has their salaries been exposed?
Their salaries have not been exposed. I mean, there's small talk about it, and Kevin Nash had actually made an overture during his Hall of Fame speech this year that if it wasn't for Ted Turner and WCW and giving out the guaranteed contracts, the WWE wouldn't be giving out guaranteed contracts now.
Listen, if the cast of Friends was making $1 million an episode,
yeah,
what are these guys? They've got to be up there too, right?
They're, honestly, from what I've heard, probably the top salary, and this is not including Triple H, who's part of the company now, but the top salary for the actual talent, I would probably say is around maybe the $2 million a year mark. Which, you look at like guys in the NFL, you look at guys in Major League Baseball where they're making $25 million a year.
Right.
Look at Alex Rodriguez, making, $24 million a year. That comes roughly down to like $24,000 a pitch. Somebody throws a ball at you, you make $24,000 in your bank account. I don't know anybody that wouldn't want that kind of money.
I would love that money.
But
I break somebody's feet for that money.
But see, that's the thing is that, in my opinion, at least, the WWE wrestlers, the WWE superstars, they deserve a lot more than the sports stars of baseball or football.
Right.
Maybe not football. Football is rough and tumble, and I can understand that. But baseball, yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, it's athletic, and I've played baseball.
But it's a franchise, just
exactly.
like Worldwide Entertainment. It's a franchise. There's a lot of money to be made. These players, if they're good, they make money for the
right.
for the owners and stuff like that. So they're going to get paid.
Oh yeah.
When A-Rod had this whole thing, everybody knows about that. I bought one of those $200 jerseys from the stadium. The really good ones,
right?
The A-Rod one,
yeah.
And it says Rod Reed, number and all that stuff. And when they were doing the jersey trade-in, I couldn't do it. Yeah. It's still hanging in my closet. Yeah, I just got to lose 50 pounds and I can wear it again.
Well, see, here's the thing. Honestly, I've been one of the biggest supporters of Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Regardless of what he's done in the past. Number one, a lot of people were doing it.
Right.
I read Jose Canseco's book, and it was a really awesome book.
Yeah.
And, there are more people doing it that got caught, number one.
Yeah.
And not that I'm one to condone cheating per se, but, there were a lot of guys doing it. It just happened to be A-Rod got caught.
Yes. Well, there was a whole different world of that. That wasn't actual like the steroids you would think to pump iron and stuff like that. That was an experimental medicine that's supposed to improve and enhance
your eyesight.
And your peripheral as well. And so I mean. But see, look at back in the day. Look at the horse, the Iron Horse. Look at him, Nolan Ryan. He was somebody who didn't need none of this.
Right.
He would have 2 beers on the weekend with his wife. The normal guy. Look at Don Mattingly. Same thing. Family man, was good.
Yeah.
And now everybody wants to get better to try to make all that money.
And that's where sports is going. I mean, you look at the day, and this is why I love listening to the podcasts of like Roddy Piper, Ric Flair. Because they're throwbacks to the old days where wrestlers weren't, they're talking to different sports stars and wrestlers and stuff. But, these are the days where you'd go out, you'd wrestle, you go to a beer, you go out to the bar, you get drunk, you get, whatever, and Ric Flair has his famous Space Mountain stories. But, that's where it was back then. And even with baseball, Babe Ruth was a drunk. Mickey Mantle, that's why he had to have his liver taken out and replaced, and he ended up dying a year later anyways.
Vices.
That's it. And it was vices. But nobody cared.
Yeah.
It was like you were good at it, you got signed, you made your money, and that's it.
Yep.
Nowadays, it's like, you have to be regimented from literally the time you're 8 years old, playing Little League Baseball all the way through, going into, the
you don't pick this up
Legion.
At 15 or 20,
Not anymore.
No,
you have to be bred to do it. It's like
you have to. Another thing, you got to create your own buzz.
Yeah,
you go through little majors, minors, majors, Babe Ruth or whatever.
Right.
Then you go to the high school ball. You create your own buzz. People scout.
Yeah,
people scout.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny because maybe not funny, but it's one of those things. And I liken it to horse racing because with horses, horses are bred directly to race, and somebody had told me, and I heard this from, I mentioned it on my last show, all of the thoroughbreds in racing can trace their lineage back to 2 horses. And
Really?
Trace their lineage back to 2 horses. And, it's sad because that just shows you that all these thoroughbreds are bred to race. And that's how, unfortunately, it's going to be like with kids nowadays.
Yeah.
That's why you see the obsessive parents that are yelling at umpires and this and that. Now I'm not one that, and I don't agree with telling kids that you tie every game because I think you need a level of competition.
Right.
But, there is the flip side of that is you don't need to be, acting like, the Little League game that's happening tonight, 6-inning Little League game, is the Game 7 of the World Series.
Right, yes.
You don't need to be.
I coached for 7 years, in West Haven, West Haven Little League, and I had a coach that worked with me. He was the bad cop. I was the good cop, and I helped those children, understand, the guy on the right has your right, the guy on the left has your left. Work on you. You mess up. Hey, go up and try again. It was little things. But the jump. Here's what happens in my eyes when they get known. They get cocky. But then they're good. They have a reason to be cocky. People and now they're not spending enough time in the farm leagues.
Right. You're right.
And they're moving straight up to the majors. There's a lot of garbage players right now.
Yeah.
And, filling up the teams. And, these people, would have been better if they, waited a year.
Well, it's the same thing with football because you notice, and this is one of the original reasons why I created Sportswire Entertainment in the first place, is that, my goal is to bring bring minor league teams to a major league level. That's what our slogan is. And one of the things is I want to get the NEFL is what the Connecticut Panthers play in. That's their league. I want to bring it so that the NEFL or any of the semi-pro leagues out there get noticed by the NFL and at least become a feeder, a feeder system to, let's say, arena ball or a feeder system in the NFL. So they have that because you got guys that are being drafted out of college. Look at Johnny Manziel,
exactly.
being drafted out of college, expecting to start and becoming a great quarterback. But then you look at guys like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers that had the time to shadow Drew Bledsoe or Brett Favre, and look at the kind of quarterbacks they became.
Right.
Not everybody's going to be a Peyton Manning.
And that has a lot to do with with the farming. That helps them work their own kinks out. You can get a great guy who second string, third string, or something like that. They come out, they do one good game as a quarterback, but then they're garbage.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't. They have that momentum for that moment, and that's it. The farming, the training, all the college, all that stuff really helps mold you into the players like Tom Brady and stuff like that because they have that practice.
Oh, exactly.
They weren't pulled. Oh, you're great. Let's go.
Right. Well, yeah, because in baseball they have the farm system, of course, even though they're not left there. But hockey has their own farm system. Yep. I don't exactly know how it's set up, but there's they have like so many different hockey leagues and they're all but football doesn't. And the idea being that football is such a competitive contact, injurious sport that you don't want to have a guy who's talented, playing on these rinky-dink little fields, farming their craft when you could use them up on the quarterback. If you get hurt and it's a career-ending injury, you waste all that money and that draft pick goes up. But you can't force guys to be. Johnny Manziel, who was fantastic in college, Tim Tebow, fantastic in college, got up to the NFL and stunk it up because they didn't have the time to shadow somebody. Right. I think, honestly, if John Elway was smart, he would have had Tim Tebow shadow Peyton Manning when they got Peyton Manning in so that, come 2 years when Peyton Manning's ready to retire, Tim Tebow's right there. And he's a great quarterback, But Tim Tebow didn't want to move from the quarterback position. He's an all-around good athlete.
Right.
It was his pride that said, I want to be a quarterback. And now he's signed by the Eagles, and it remains to be seen if he's going to end up making a splash with the Eagles or not, or going back to the SEC network.
Well, it's going to be a good year. Hopefully, the Yankees do what they do every year, and that's after the All-Star break, make a run for it.
Right.
But I don't see that happening. But.
It's amazing because I'd love to see that happening. And they finally have their pitching down.
Yes.
They have Dylan Betances and Adam Warren, as hashtag DNA. Their 1-2 punch as a throwback to, what they did with Rivera and Wetland back in the late 90s. And then, they had so many setup men for Rivera.
Rigetti.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if it was up to me, I would have re-signed David Robertson. He was fantastic last year.
I wish we could have the heart of the 1995 Yankees right now.
Yeah.
All those great players back then. They never won a World Series throughout that time, like with Steve Sachs and Jesse Barfield and Mattingly and Lenny. Jimmy Lawrence was behind the plate before Jorge, and and we had a decent. Kevin Moss had the great swing, and Matt Noakes and. All these players. When we had Ricky in center,
Mike Stanley.
Yes. So I mean, they had so much heart. And now it's all about the money. You can see the major difference.
Oh, absolutely,
major difference.
But what's funny is that Teixeira's been doing great, but any big name guy that they sign usually flops in New York. Or the Randy Johnson experiment, perfect. He's one of the greatest pitchers of our generation.
Exactly.
And he flopped in New York.
Yep.
I thought that Ichiro Suzuki, when he came over, did really well. Now he's down in Miami. But Jason Giambi, for the most part, he wasn't himself. From Oakland. Teixeira has been having the wrist injuries.
Yeah, I mean he was here and there last year, but the year before he did okay.
Right.
And now It's all about progression. It's all about getting your kinks out, as we were talking about earlier. And then fortunately, they're on a team that has the capability of allowing them to step back, handle their business, and then come back.
Right.
So
and now that George is out of the picture, I mean, God rest his soul. Now they're not necessarily worrying about now, because I see the Steinbrenner brothers, the sons, looking for the future. Because if you notice. Or if you realize, the Yankees spent a ton of their minor leaguers on getting players for now.
Right.
Fred McGriff was part of the Yankees organization. They traded him away. He ended up becoming the great first baseman in Atlanta. Ken Griffey Sr. was in their farm system at one point.
Right.
Yeah,
you're right about the good direction now.
Right.
Where they're not just thinking about winning this series.
Exactly.
They know that they can buy all the players. They may do okay this season.
Right.
Then everything just goes away. Mm-hmm. Everything moves in different directions. They're maybe trying to get some of their old roots back, where they're not just thinking about now. They're thinking about next season, the season after. Molding people to what they need.
Right.
Getting the right first baseman, getting the right Tex, but getting the right this person, that position, and the pitching is really important.
Absolutely,
because that has killed us the last few years.
Oh yeah,
and
the pitching alone. You're right. It has. But it's the injuries.
Yeah.
I don't agree with necessarily spending $26 million just to talk to a guy like Hideki, Masahiro Tanaka.
Oh, Tanaka, yeah.
Yeah, Masahiro Tanaka. I don't necessarily feel that spending $30 million just to talk to a guy.
Right.
It's ridiculous how much money is going over to Japan.
Right.
Honestly,
look at how much money was going into Rivera for what, 2 outs?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all that was in his contract.
Exactly.
I can work for 2 outs, but I can't work for 2 days.
Right.
Come on.
You're right.
That's prissy status right there.
You're
I'm sorry.
absolutely right.
Everything's all about the money now. I mean, back in look at the perfect example, Rigetti. How many nights a week would he work?
I think he was on the mound almost every night. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's just different.
But it's all
Rivera
over.
was like that too in his younger years,
right?
But
because Rivera started as a setup man for Wetland, and then when Wetland left to Texas, Rivera took that role over, and he did fantastic.
Yeah,
but you're right.
He had the right that he was in the wrong spot in the beginning, and then moved to the right spot. Right. That was the right move for him.
And then he needed that year off because he broke his ankle in the outfield,
something like that. Yeah,
yeah, and. Honestly, he should have retired at that point because they got what's his name, Rafael Soriano to cover him for that year, and then with Mariano coming back, Soriano didn't want to go to setup man, so he left.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate. But unfortunately, guys want the money, and don't get me wrong, Rivera earned his
yeah,
share,
sure, he earned it, but you know what? Come on, man, pitch for your team. You're not being a team player. You're like, well, you know what? I'll work for 2 hours. So, 2 outs tonight, and come see me in a couple days.
Yeah,
that's what I want on my contract, and that's what I'm going to get. And they would give it to him,
right?
Because he is Mariano Rivera.
Exactly. You're absolutely right.
So,
all right. So it looks like Booker T is a little late on the call, or maybe he's not being able to call in. I know he's stuck at work, so he could be busy at work or whatever. I will. Try to talk to him at some point and get an interview with him at some point. So, things happen. Unfortunately, you might feel the show is going well as it is. But we're actually going to go to our first song, take a little bit of a break. And for you on YouTube, you will be actually seeing the song's, the band's logo, and that is Second Skin. We're going to go to Bottle.
All righty.
That's right here on the Sportswire.
I'm Big Lou.
All right. Yes, we are back.
Yes.
That was Second Skin with Bottle, great local band. Now, do they prefer being called local or indie?
Local.
Local.
Yep.
Okay, so they're a great local band, and I want to thank them for allowing us to use their music. And that'd be great.
Yeah, they're like I was telling you before. They're part of the Wimbosh tour. Doug Wimbosh from Live in Color.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody know. Well, most older people know who Live in Color is.
And actually, the new generation of people. If you watch WWE, CM Punk used Cult of Personality for his theme song for the past
that's a great song
2 years or so. So
that's a great tune.
Yeah,
absolutely. Great. Set up for next. Which one do you want?
The next song we'll play later on in a little while.
Yeah,
we'll go with AJ Jansen.
Okay.
Who's actually another great talent from what I've heard.
Yes, and if you missed the interview, you can go on to the From the Source show right on Fat Cat Radio, myfatcatradio.com/interviews. Check out the AJ Jansen, and it was a really good interview.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of the first interviews I had done when I left my old station and came here and started this, and what a great time. I mean, it was an hour and 5 minutes of just a blessing.
Yeah.
She's a wonderful girl, beautiful girl, excellent artist, great guitar player, great singer. She's won awards. She's played at the CCMAs. She's done a lot of stuff, man.
Nice.
So, she's somebody who really and truly has it figured out, and she's making money, and she's doing what she's got to do,
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Well, that's exactly what it's got to be. You figure it out, and you get, you got it. And that's it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
That there are some people out there that just don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And we were talking about that other artist. We won't name that person, but you can have 10 you could have 10 songs on your album, and one that is all right,
mm-hmm.
And then the other ones, it is what it is,
Exactly.
But people are trying, and that's really, for me, anybody gets a fair shot right here on Fat Cat Radio.
Right,
so,
yeah.
Anybody. But speaking of AJ Jansen, there is a show called Fat Cat Music Showcases, and if you guys want to hear all of her work,
mm-hmm.
you can hear it all on that show. Most of the people anybody I've interviewed has a showcase.
Okay.
So... for the most part,
mm-hmm.
Some of the newer ones with Twism, that we're doing that Team Elite thing, so it gets a show just of everybody's music. So,
right.
Which is good because it's a lot of work.
Yeah. So just by seeing the Facebook posts, it's just I could see how much work goes into it.
Yeah,
yeah.
And that's just Facebook. There's a lot of work behind that, a lot of calls, a lot of networking. I'm a busy guy.
I see that. Yeah. Which is
but
why I
look,
appreciate,
man, you're here. We've got sports, we've got cooking, we've got interviews.
Which now, with how we're doing the simulcast here with the video,
exactly.
Which is now you can simulcast the cooking, which I'm sure, saying to preheat an oven to 350. Now you can actually show your preheating
exactly.
the
oven. I've mastered the art of doing radio cooking without video.
Mm-hmm.
I take pictures as I go along.
Yep.
And I post them on the Facebook group, What's Cooking with Big Lou,
okay,
with all the ingredients, and it shows you step by step, and you click play on the show,
mm-hmm.
and I walk you through it. I talk about the hints and tips and stuff like that. That show, I also interviewed Master Chef contestant Cutter Brewer
mm-hmm.
last year. He was the number 3, the black sheep turned man to beat for a while, but the girls ended up taking the end of the season. But the bottom line I'm trying to say here is anybody can cook.
Yeah.
And I make elegant food made
mm-hmm.
simple. And right now, you can learn how to make crab rangoons,
mm-hmm.
step by step, pitcher by pitcher, egg rolls, all the shit. This is what all the stuff. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And but we got hip hop. We've got the like I said, sports, the cooking, interviews, showcases. We've got the Big Lou and CC show.
Mm-hmm.
The funny banter with the good music, and we're streaming on the Indie Authority now.
Okay.
And this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Talking to the musicians, getting the musicians. I'm on the Indie. I'm in the Indie Bible. We're in the Indie Bible,
mm-hmm.
and I get probably 50 emails a day just from the Indie Bible.
Really?
Yeah, people submitting music, and it's tough. It's tough going through all that. I spent 2 hours waiting for you. I'm not saying I was waiting for you, but
right.
I spent 2 hours before you were showing up,
mm-hmm.
Uploading music. I've uploaded over 100 songs,
wow.
because I hadn't done it in a few days. My son and his girlfriend were here. Life happens.
Right.
But still, we try to maintain quality here.
Yeah.
And that's why, talking with you that day and moving in with you and us all joining the family together,
yep.
that was important to me.
Yeah.
And that the family aspect of this is important.
Absolutely.
To me. So, I know that I can call you if I need something, vice versa, and we all help each other out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we do.
Yeah, and it's actually been a great ride here. I am very happy that that I'm here with Fat Cat Radio now, and being able to provide these great shows, and it's all about finding the right people as well.
Right.
It's like, because I've had I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I've had times where I've tried to restart certain things and just couldn't find the right people.
Right.
Just because of simply because of the whether it was non-dependability or the fact that people didn't want to start things without getting paid and pay your dues and want to get big, and they don't want to get paid now. And it's one of those things where you got to start from the ground, just like we were talking about indie,
Right.
local.
Yeah, there's a contrast.
Yeah.
Yep,
you pay your dues, you do what you got to do, you provide quality entertainment, and eventually somebody's going to end up getting sponsors.
Right. And there's the sponsor thing. Twism just got sponsored about from Red Bull Studios, Red Bull and everything.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. He's supposed to, that's a big thing. July 1st. And his show, that means, one of the shows here, because he's sponsored, he does a show. You know? So hey.
Absolutely.
Those are great big things. I'm gonna make a text about that to somebody. But one of the things that I love about having you is if I want to tune in and listen to something about the state of Connecticut or whatever, it's there.
Right.
And and if you want to tune in, you can. And it's no matter what, you can listen to us on your phone. You can listen to us anywhere.
Absolutely.
And you got us on iTunes and YouTube streaming. This is my first time being on a video talking on a microphone. I just want to say hi. So you're trying to say you have the perfect face for radio? No, I don't. I have the perfect nose for radio.
But it's my pleasure.
Right.
Sportswire SWE has been set up for over 2 years now, and for a while we started with the videos and everything, and it kind of took a backseat because of the because of scheduling or whatever the case may be. But, it just so happened that, I started, everybody knows I work third shift at a hotel. So, I was getting so bored at night, I was doing live YouTube from work, and, 2:30 in the morning doing live stuff at YouTube, just getting stuff off my chest. So I always maintained it. And then when we started with this, I'm like, you know what? If we could transition and do a simulcast almost like Mike and Mike,
right?
It'd be great, because not only do you get the people that are listening here on Spreaker or the various other websites that we're available on, but you're also getting people that want to actually watch us on YouTube. And the good part about YouTube is now we have an outlet where, if we're talking about a band, or whatever, we could throw up their logo and you could Google it. And you could, try to find it online and find out more about it.
Exactly. And Facebook. That's the place to go. I mean, you type in, everybody's got a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Every musician. Everybody's got a Twitter. Not everybody has a Twitter account.
Right.
And I've seen some bands who don't have Facebook, but majority.
Right.
I mean, it really rules. And, I for a long time, it's a lot of work now because I do a lot of other work, but for a long time and I still do it for the first portion of my show once in a while during the show, but I will tag musicians as I'm playing them. I'll give them a 10-minute warning.
Yep.
So they can share. And that's what this is it. That's what made this 15 weeks, Vinny.
Really?
Over 21,000 plays, and we're getting close to 3,000 subscribers to the station.
That's fantastic.
That's top 5%.
Really?
So, yes. So those are great numbers. Listening hours are good.
Yep.
Things are moving good here.
Absolutely.
We do have the Spreaker Awards at the end of the year.
Okay.
And there's no doubt in my mind that, this station will get something. And it's not just that, and I said this station because everybody here is a family, like we talked about.
Right.
And, we're not.
Well, they just not too long ago had the Podcast Awards in general.
Yeah.
And, it's funny because I made the comment. I said, next year, look for us to be there.
Yeah.
Because, one of the best podcasters I listen to is, former WWE champion Chris Jericho. I really feel he's just one of the best podcasters out there.
Right.
And I've been listening to his podcast religiously every single week. And, he actually hosted the event this year. But just that podcasting and internet media in itself has become so big,
right, that
they have their own award show now, and
it's gonna.
Yeah.
This is the difference between, some people go, oh, you're on internet radio.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
You get a much wider reach than an FM station.
Exactly. 22% of our listeners are in Europe.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
PLR doesn't have that.
No. Europe, Canada, and
we had 400 listening hours last weekend. Not this weekend, last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
400 listening hours from Saturday night at 5 till Sunday night at 8.
Wow.
That's
amazing.
That's good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good things happening. It's not just me, it's not just you, it's everybody, And that's what I like. This is a family. If you go on our homepage, it's, Fat Cat Family and all our pictures, because we are a family.
Yeah.
We may not know each other personally.
Right.
A couple of us may not know each other, like you and me have meet and stuff.
Right.
I've never met Lil Frankie. Mm-hmm. Twism's my brother now, you know what I mean? But I've never met him personally.
Right.
I talk to him on the phone like a girl sometimes. We talk for an hour. But the thing is that, we all share a mutual respect, and that's getting the local and underdogs noticed.
Yeah.
Whether it's wrestling, football, baseball, music,
right,
cookers.
Cookers,
cooks, home cooks.
Right.
So and support yourself.
Yeah.
And that's how you get through with this. You want to learn how to cook, go to cooking groups on Facebook. You'll learn things. You want to learn how to play guitar, go on YouTube.
Yeah.
You want to learn how to broadcast, go to YouTube.
Exactly. Well, how many YouTubers have actually gotten big contracts just by being noticed on YouTube?
Big sponsors, making money sitting there playing friggin' Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, my son keeps saying, I'm not going to college. I'm going to be a gamer. And I keep saying, no, you're not, because you're not sleeping on my couch because you can't afford rent. I keep saying that to him.
But you know what? Even still, if you have that kind of a passion,
you
could get into creating games. Full Sail University down in Orlando, that's where WWE has their NXT. But that college itself is geared towards it's geared towards making creating video games. Mm-hmm. Or video game design or development or whatever.
Well, that's what I tried to say to him. I said, why don't you go at least learn that?
Right.
So you can have input on games. Mm-hmm. Be a game tester.
Yeah.
That's good money.
Oh, yeah.
That's steady money.
Yeah.
As opposed to hoping for a sponsor, paying $1,600 to put a digital press kit together.
Right.
I'm not giving you $1,600 to put a digital press kit together.
Right.
I can't even get you to brush your teeth, and you want $1,600. Hey, but you know what? Everybody's got their dreams. Everybody,
Absolutely. Well, we're going to actually go to another song. AJ Jansen, who we talked about earlier.
Yep.
Fantastic country talent.
Mm-hmm.
And after this, we're actually going to veer off sports for a little bit and going to get into a little bit of controversial stuff. As everybody knows, that my saying is, Eric Bischoff wrote the book, Controversy Creates Cash. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? Controversy creates conversation as well. Mm-hmm. So I always tend to go controversial on some subjects, and that's what we're going to be doing next, right here on the Sportswire with Vinny Apsella and Big Lou.
Yes, and guys, once again, go to From the Source to hear the AJ Jansen interview, or you can go to the Fat Cat Music Showcases to hear all of her music.
Down in the corner is a New York City foreigner. He likes to think he owns this joint, but he don't. He comes from the Mason-Dixon line, where the hollers and the swallows spend their dimes, raising Cain and sipping that sweet moonshine. Well, the good Lord never told him about the country way up here. We like our Hank, we like our Junior, but let's get one thing clear. This ain't Dixie, but it's country. My southern sisters love me. We like it loud, we like it proud. Are you with me? This ain't Dixie, but it's country. And my holy. Don't judge me if you don't know me. We all love having us a real good time. No, we don't have the Opry, but we play it up at the Bowery. And I think George Jones can hold his head up high. But the good Lord never told him about the way we do it here. We like our Hank, we like our Junior, but let's get one thing clear. This ain't Dixie, but it's country. My southern sisters love me. We like it loud, we like it proud. Are you with me? This ain't Dixie, but it's country. And my outlaw brothers know me. We like it loud, we like it proud. Are you with me? This ain't Dixie. Pardon me if I seem out of line, but country music stands the test of time. This ain't Dixie, but it's country. My southern sisters love me. We like it loud, we like it proud. Are you with me? This ain't Dixie, but it's country. And my outlaw brothers know me. We like it loud, we like it proud. Are you with me? This ain't Dixie. It ain't Dixie until you cross that line.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. That was AJ Jansen with This Ain't Dixie. Great talent, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. We were talking about that before. It's just great.
Absolutely.
Great sound.
All right, well, as I said before the song, it's that time, like I said, everybody knows I like to sometimes cause controversy and talk about controversial subjects. Now, let me preface this, and I'm going to preface this as saying, I am a baptized Christian, and as I've said and stated on my show numerous times, I will never, ever force my beliefs on anybody, because quite honestly, God and Jesus are filled with love, and I feel that we need to love everybody regardless of their life, because we are all sinners, and we all make mistakes in life, or we all choose our paths the way we feel it should be how we feel we should be going down.
Yes.
And not to say that lifestyles are mistakes. I don't.
Yeah.
Please don't take my words out of context. But one of the biggest topics nowadays in the world is the LGBT movement. For those of you that don't know, it's a lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender movement, and it almost likens itself to back in the in the early 1900s when slavery was just happening, coming out of slavery, and the African Americans were feeling oppressed and they felt discriminated against. First of all, let me say there's discrimination in the world for everything.
Yes.
Whether it's race, whether it's weight, whether it's lifestyle, there's discrimination
Anything new, the whole society has a problem with.
Absolutely.
Whenever it comes to the limelight, it's like, their first, okay, yeah, no. But then people start to think, people start to understand. But see, the good thing is about this movement is there's a lot of supporters. And some people that you would never even think would support, too. So, it is good. I'm sorry, continue.
No, you're absolutely right. And as a Christian, we're taught that, the Bible says X, Y, and Z.
Right.
That we are, marriage is defined between man and a woman. And, being gay is an aberration of God and this and that and the other thing. First of all, let me say this right now from, God loves everyone regardless of their sexual preference or anything. There is, and this is not necessarily the views of Fat Cat Radio,
right,
or anything, but this is my personal viewpoint, and everybody who's on here, our opinions. We do
Right.
have somebody on the phone that we're going to be talking to in just a couple of minutes. His name is Brody Ray.
Brody Ray Runge.
Brody Ray Runge.
Yep.
And actually, he's a transgender.
He was a woman and is now a man.
So I believe that's considered transgender.
Transgender, yes.
Right.
And a brilliant musician.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. I mean,
and that's my point. Is as Christians, we're taught to believe one thing and one thing only. And I think, unfortunately, that's where Christianity gets its bad name from,
right.
And it gets a bad reputation, because there are so many out there that, so many Christians out there that want to discriminate against gays and lesbians and anybody of a different lifestyle.
Right.
And I can quote the Bible, Matthew 28, where Jesus tells us to go make disciples of all nations. But you know what? In my opinion, it's all about evolution. And, it's basically adapt or perish. And, it's here. We have to accommodate it, or not necessarily accept it. If you don't accept the lifestyle, then that's on you. But that doesn't mean you can go out and preach hatred against other people. So we're going to bring Brody Ray Runge in now.
Mm-hmm.
Brody, thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So,
Brody, you and I have had a past for the past 9-10 months now, on again, off again conversations. But we've always supported you, whether it was here or with the old station 2 Loco. Now, you and I had a great conversation live on air just a few weeks ago, and then we had a great interview last year, and I learned so much about you. So the reason why I have you here and wanted you on is because, when Vinny approached me about this subject, the first person I thought of was you, and how, okay, so I do support this, and I've always have. I've had 2 homosexual uncles. I was just at a lesbian couple's house on Saturday for a picnic. Mm-hmm. They surround me in my life. Mm-hmm. But I am a heterosexual. Mm-hmm. But Brody, you have got a great story. What was it? Right Person, Wrong Body on TLC, was it?
Yeah, Right Guy, Wrong Body.
Right Guy, Wrong Body.
Strange Sex Show.
Mm-hmm. So, do me a favor. Describe what that was geared towards.
The episode was kind of based off of, just the relationships and the struggles going through, like dating girls, and the actual physical changes as a trans person, that the hormones, the surgeries, the operations, what they entail, what could happen, what might happen, what I've dealt with personally with society, and, we find music and girlfriend struggles,
Right. And, being the right man, wrong body, I could presume that that's the thing that made you go through this transition, because, no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't be who you wanted to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, I knew since the first day I could remember anything for myself. My mom said I was 3 years old in the back seat of her car, in my car seat, kicking and screaming in the back, until I got the boy toy and my Happy Meal, And I knew then, I wanted to have my hair short. I wanted to wear boys' clothes. I wanted to do boy stuff. I wanted to date girls.
Right. You wanted the dress off. You wanted the dress off and the Oshkosh Bagoshes on, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to carve the Nike swoosh and the Husker N in the back of my head, like everybody else was doing. Like, we did, weird stuff, but, I wanted to be with the boys. I wanted to play football with the guys and I, pick on the girls.
Now, do you feel like one of the guys now?
Yes, finally.
And that's a good thing. You were a woman, you're now a man. Do you use men's bathrooms, obviously?
Yes.
Now, do you
5 years.
Do you tell people? I mean, you meet somebody new, hey, I was a girl. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
So...
I mean, most people know, just because I don't really date out of the Nebraska scene, but most people know or find out, and then it just kind of evolves out of that. But almost all girls are really, really acceptable, with it and cool with it.
So support.
I'm very old from the start.
Yeah. So support. You are a part of a lot of movements with this, yeah, and obviously, I mean, being somebody in your shoes, it must be enlightening to be able to really, help people along, to get people out of, for lack of better words, the closet. Dealing with the negative, dealing with the, striving towards the positive, you're a big part of that. You support a lot of the scenes, a lot of the movements, and and I felt that this would be the appropriate person to have on for this discussion.
And I appreciate that as well. And I want to thank you, Brody, again for coming on. So I mean, and you know what, the funny, or not funny part, but the good part about talking to somebody who's had those experiences in their life. Now, I do have a couple of questions for you, and
Absolutely.
Now you were born as a female, and you had the surgery, and you became a male, correct?
Yes.
Now, before you had the surgery to change your gender, sorry, I'm Italian. I talk with my hands.
I know, but it just you hear it. It goes right through
Sounds like the Law and Order theme, but. So the question I have is: before you had the surgery to change from a female to a male, were in the dating scene? Were you dating females, or were you dating males and it just didn't feel right?
I've always dated females. I've always wanted to be in a heterosexual relationship. I didn't even want to date lesbians. Like, I dated a couple lesbians, and it just felt wrong. Like, 'cause they didn't like me for the man that I was. They liked me for, like, the female that I wasn't.
Okay.
And so, I mean, my counselors, they all suggested, maybe just make sure this isn't a phase, try it out, see if it's really how you feel. And, I've had a couple experiences with males, but it felt so wrong, and I felt like I was sinning, and I felt like it was against everything that God wanted me to, and I felt that I was like a straight man being with another straight man,
Okay, yep.
Yeah.
It just felt wrong and sick, and it made me sick to my stomach.
I really feel like he said it right when he said, I wanted her to date me for the man I was, not the woman I
wasn't.
I wasn't, yeah. That was a really good way to put that, dude, to be honest with you, man. That was good movement there, man.
Absolutely. And I really applaud you for, just being able to, you had mentioned that you felt wrong, you felt that you were sinning, and because that's one of the biggest, I guess, biggest things that people misconceptions, I guess, that Christians or other people think about.
See that? Can the people see that? People can see that?
Yes.
This is Brody Ray right here on the screen on YouTube live, just so everybody knows who we're talking to, Mr. Brody Ray himself. So,
and I appreciate you, being so open, and you had mentioned that you felt like you were sinning. So, do you have a past in church or Christianity?
Yeah. I was raised in the Methodist Church, and I was Christian. I went to youth group in church twice a week, all through middle school and high school, and I was very, very religious. And then one day, my pastor, my youth leader, came to church on a Wednesday and said that, and started talking about, because I was there with my girlfriend, and we were holding hands, and he started speaking about homosexuality and same-sex partners and how it was wrong and a sin and this and that. And so I pulled him off to the side afterwards, and I talked to him about it, and I said, why would God make me this way if everybody was just gonna tell me that it's a sin?
Right.
Why would he make me this way, and I wouldn't be able to change it? And I prayed, and every night I would pray that God would change me, change my head or my body, and I'd wake up like corrected every night. And I would get so angry at God, like, why would you do this to me? Like, what did I do to deserve this?
But,
and then he didn't have an answer for me when I asked him. He just, he passed off a book to me, and he goes, I don't know what to tell you. And I just quit going to church that day, and I have my own beliefs and my own higher powers. I don't need to go to some place for other people to tell me that I'm a sinner, because I'm not. And because God made me this way, and I'm here to help people understand that God creates everybody differently and in different forms, and this is just another one, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You think that, I want to touch on something there, Brody. You said that, you were trying to get it out of your head and understand. Is that what you were... Elaborate on that with your head, with the way you were thinking. Do you feel that? All right, let me give the appropriate question instead of trying to ramble here. Did you have a battle in your head with this, or did you always have it? Your momentum was always towards being a man.
I always knew I was male, and I knew that I wanted to be male, and I knew that there was no life for me if I couldn't be male, and if I could pray it away, or if I could pray that I would wake up and not feel this way again, and I would feel straight, I would take it, because this was not going to work. Because you can't live a life like this. That's why the suicide rate for transgender people is 41%.
That's nuts.
That's nuts. You're absolutely right.
Ridicule is probably a big part of that too.
Ridicule, bullying. And the thing is unfortunately a lot of Christians add into that. First of all, I want to say I really appreciate you and your openness about talking about this, because it's not always an easy subject to talk about. Because
no, never.
I'll be honest with you. I've shared some things in front of my church and that have gotten me into hot water, I guess, because people were uncomfortable about it. Not necessarily about the same subjects, but about different things. But it's one of those things. Like when I heard not too long ago that I think it was a bakery refused to bake a cake for a lesbian couple that wanted to get married, and crazy. Because of their beliefs. And in my opinion, it's like in business, especially, you don't have the right to push your beliefs on anybody.
Right.
Now, obviously now that you've had the surgery and you feel a lot more comfortable in your skin, so to speak, how have you gone back to church since, or have you just been staying away from it?
Yeah, pretty much. And, I've had a bunch of opportunities, and even like at the pride festivals that I play at, there's GLBT pastors and ministers there. There's very accepting and open churches around. Mm-hmm. There's tons of things, available. It's just I guess I just choose not to go.
Okay.
And that's your right.
Yeah. It really is.
I one of the biggest reasons
I think the biggest thing about it is just I just don't have time. My Sundays are just like another Monday to me. I work on my music. Mm-hmm. Or I'm working at my day job.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of pushing through, and I don't really think about it.
Right.
I don't really think about it.
All right, great.
There's a great moment in time when a man like Brody can thrive in society the way he wanted to, and no longer have to hide behind his appearance of what he was, and he can harness what he is now and take control of his life, because as he did say, there is a very high suicide rate. There's a very high percentage of people who just are miserable because they can't even come out. What?
Just think about it. How would you feel if tomorrow you woke up in the same mindset as you are now, but you're in a woman's body? What would you do? What would be the first thing that you would do?
Buy a bra.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You would probably be like, "Well, it's just fun for a day." Yeah. But you would find a doctor.
There was a question on Facebook recently in one of those poll things, mm-hmm. where it was, would you rather not have sexual relations for a year, or be a woman for 1 day a week for the year?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind trying that out. As long as it's not in the,
Right.
Speaking of that, you have all your women parts taken out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything is removed.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. So, but no, I wouldn't mind being a woman once a day, every now and again, just to check it out, you know, feel what it really feels like for a girl to go shopping.
I'll tell you right now that it's way better on the guy's side. Guys have it easy. That's all I have to say.
We can go to the bathroom anywhere. That's why.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because a lot of the reason why I brought up this subject was because I want, you know, not only is the Sportswire a show for entertainment purposes, but it's also for information out there, because, you know, big controversial issues that nobody wants to talk about are the subjects we should be talking about, whether it be in church, whether it be on TV, whether it be anywhere. As entertainers, I guess, we have a right to also inform and educate. And, you know, I'll be the first one to admit that I don't have that kind of experience that you have. You know, yes, I've been bullied. When I was a kid, I was bullied for being overweight. And, you know, it's like, you know, the whole Be a Star movement from the WWE has been fantastic for helping, you know, to try to knock out bullies and everything. No pun intended.
Yeah.
But, but the fact of the matter is, bullying doesn't stop at childhood. But when it gets into adulthood, it becomes discrimination and, you know, racism, sexism, just discrimination in general. And and it gets violent, and people get murdered. You're absolutely right. And even I would even jump to the point of saying something to the point of, if you're discriminating people to the point where they're feeling like they don't want to live anymore and they want to be suicidal, how is that different from murder?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Pushing somebody over the edge.
Put them there.
Right. And, you know, I mean, as a Christian, as somebody who goes to church, I will say this, that I love everybody. I mean, I have, you know, cousins that are lesbians, that are married and have kids. You know, I have friends that are homosexuals, that are gay, and, you know, it's like I've never met anybody that's a transgender before, or somebody that, you know, I've seen it, obviously, but like I said, I just, you know, a lot of things is you need to have people that are willing to, you know, and I don't want to make it seem like people from, you know, different lifestyles, they're circus acts or sideshows or whatever, but in order to get your story out, to get people to understand what you felt, you know, a lot of people are just closed-minded and ignorant, but there's also a lot of people that really want to learn, that want to learn about that lifestyle, or what your experiences were as to why you chose that lifestyle.
There, you know,
exactly. And you have to get out there, and you have to tell that stuff that not everybody wants to talk about, that stuff that hits you hard in your heart.
Right.
And it's going to get people to listen and understand, because this stuff is, people don't do this just for fun and just for show. Like, this is,
right.
I don't know anybody in their right mind who'd ever want to do this.
I was one of those people, though. I got to be honest with you guys. In high school, I was a superficial hippie. And being a superficial hippie, I had long hair, I had the beard, I had the girls, I had the body. I put kids in lockers and stuff like that. And I was one of those dudes. But just a few years after high school, I realized how horrible that must have been. Because I'm not that person, but I was going through a lot with my stepfather. I was abused and stuff like that, and I was taking it out on a lot of people.
You got your own shit going on. Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, but the thing is I didn't have to deal with somebody like, I hate to say it that way, but somebody in your position who was a woman and is now a man. You were the first person I've ever spoken to that was transgender. Well, no, that's not true. Sorry. I had picked up a girl who was a guy at one point, and
you must have been drunk.
No, I was cooking. She was at the bar.
Okay.
He was at the bar. He didn't even have boobs, but they looked like. But anyways, you know, I was sadly mistaken when I got home. I was sadly mistaken. So that was a quick exit.
Man.
out my front door for her. But anyways, so Brody, listen, you're a talented individual. You've got a mindset that's stellar. You've got some people here that always have supported you, promoted you, exposed you, and played you on our stations. And you are somebody on the other end that promotes and supports and exposes your ideals and everything like that. And that's what makes you a great person. And I wanted to say thank you so much. You're the mark you're making on today is just amazing. The words you're writing and painting on a wall of society are just amazing. And I appreciate everything that you are, everything that you're doing, and everything that you've made for yourself in your own persona. Because you are not that statistic now. You weren't the person that killed yourself. You weren't the person. You're not miserable anymore. You're happy with who you are for the most part, I'm sure. And this was something. You're not gay. You're not a lesbian. You're transgender, which means which doesn't mean that you wanted to have sex with a woman. In your heart, it wasn't about that. It was you wanted to be a man. So that's where you're at, and now I mean you obviously you want, like you said before, you wanted to have sex with a woman. You wanted her to have sex with a man, not the woman.
Right.
But listen, man, you're a great dude, and any conversation. I'm always trying to get you on here. We're trying to get you on last week for the Bruce Jenner conversation, but you were busy at work, so. Hey, but
how do you view the Bruce Jenner situation? Now, obviously, he's going from a male to a female.
Did you see the picture of him?
I have not. No.
Holy crap!
I saw it. I'll pull it up for him real quick.
I'm gonna pull it up as we're talking. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Does not look anything like him.
No,
kind of pretty.
I didn't even know who it was.
Rob Dibble said the same thing.
Who is that?
Yeah,
I'm in love with the story, and I'm in love with what he's doing. And I'm sad for Bruce Jenner having to live his full life that way, because I would have given up a long time ago. And I'm sad that he had to be Bruce all of his life, and I'm so excited that she gets to continue her life as someone that she doesn't have to pretend to be anymore,
Wow.
And
right?
It's just really cool.
All right, I just saw the picture, and holy cow, that looks absolutely nothing like
nothing at all.
No, totally
nothing like him at all whatsoever. That looks like a 50-year-old woman who did well for her life and took care of herself right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
And
and her name's Caitlin. Her name's Caitlin now.
I'm glad he didn't go with a K.
Hey, Brody, question: Did Bruce Jenner have everything removed now?
I don't know. I haven't looked that far into it yet, but I think either she has or she is going to. I'm not sure about the lower stuff yet. I'm not sure.
Wow, that's an amazing transition.
It takes a long time. It's a long process, and it's a long recovery. So I'm guessing not yet, because she would have been in recovery, for still.
Wow,
it's nuts.
Who knows?
It's nuts, but you know what? More power to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
I give the guy respect, just like you. You listen, right man, wrong body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. And you know what? The fact of the matter is this: if the way you're living is right for you. Now I've got a saying, and I've my name is Vinny, obviously, and I came up with a saying. I just judging by everything that's been going on, I've done what's best for business. I've done what's best for the ministry of church. It's time to do what's best for the vinistry. The vinistry, nice. Yeah. Nice. But it's more along the lines, you have to do what's right for you.
Yeah.
And if if you're not feeling the way you're feeling when you're born, or what you're supposed to be, based on society, then you got to do what you got to do, and I give you a lot of credit.
Yeah, and that's the main thing for me. That's a really huge thing, is when I hope that people can grab onto that concept when they're in ministry and when they're in church and they're speaking to other people. I want people to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a choice. It's who you are. It's who God made you.
Exactly.
It's nothing that you chose.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something real quick, man. If you can go back in time, what would you do differently to make it easier for you today?
I would start transitioning way earlier.
How old were you when you started transitioning?
I was 21, 2010. 20, I don't know. So 4 years ago.
Looks like a dude.
5 or 6 years ago.
You did good, man. Though you did good. You're a handsome guy.
Thanks.
You know.
Thanks.
And so, what motto did you live by? Did somebody give you some advice that helped you get to where you are? Did you have a motto that helped drive your momentum?
God, my mom was really my rock, dude. She was very sad for me, and she saw how sad I was, and she just wanted me to be happy. So she said, whatever you guys do, let's do it, and we're gonna do it as a family. I kind of had to give them some ultimatums, but they came around, and then I really just made my own. Like, music was a huge motivator and inspiration for me. Girls were a huge inspiration for me, and just living my dreams and being who I am and being happy. That was my thing. And I got my favorite motto tattooed on my chest. It says, "Wake your dream."
What separates you from other people, man?
What's that?
What separates you from other people? Was it your drive? Was it your determination?
I think it's just my determination to just make it work. Make my life work the best for me and not for everybody else, and not fucking like just not even give a crap what anybody thinks.
And that's exactly why you're not a statistic, man. That's exactly why.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, Brody, I'd like to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
It's been a great talk. I don't even want to call it an interview, just a great conversation.
Do you want to play a Brody Ray song?
Yeah, if you got one.
Oh yeah, of course I have Brody Ray.
Yeah, so
we love Brody Ray at Fat Cat Radio. So
while Big Lou is working on getting the song in there,
Brody, you pick the song. What song would you like us to play to identify you? A Detour?
Shoot, what do you think? Should we do Detour? Yeah, let's do it.
You also have a couple cover tunes here. We got the Free Fallin' cover and Dark Horse. But you know what? Let's play. How about Light Your Fire, Detour? I got The Hard Way. That was a good song.
Yeah, You Got Me on My Knees is going to be the single here coming up here in June.
All right, well, let's play that then. We'll play that. We'll play You Got Me on My Knees.
All right, so once it loads, we'll go to You Got Me on My Knees by Brody Ray. Brody, thank you very much. Great conversation. Cool. Fantastic. I give you a lot of credit for what you've done and what you've gone through. So, keep up the great work, man.
Absolutely, and thank you. People like you, man.
Thanks for your support, you guys.
People like you make things easier for others. You support people. You're just a pillar in the community of this, man. So
yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. I just want to help people understand. That's my only goal. I'm not here to make everybody understand. Just help people understand.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, all right, Brody. Thank you again. We appreciate everything. We appreciate you coming out and talking to us, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, thank you very much. So here's Brody Ray with
We'll see you guys.
You Got Me on My Knees.
Yes, sir.
On the Sportswire.
All righty.
When I least expected it or needed it most, the one I quit looking for found me. Baby, you saved me from me when I hit my low. I didn't know where to go. You picked me up. You put me back on my feet. That first kiss that landed on my lips, the songs that last tonight was just right. Your head leans on mine as I close my eyes. I can't breathe. You got me on my knees. Girl, where have you been? I've been looking for you, and I'm sorry I stare, but the way I shine is just cruel. And I'm not sure where this is all gonna go, but I know there is no cure. And now I know for sure, for sure. That first kiss that landed on my lips, the songs and lights at night was just right. Your hand leans on mine as I close my eyes. I can't breathe. You got me on my knees. Yeah, you got me on my knees. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop loving me. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. That first kiss that landed on my lips, the songs and lights at night was just right. Your hand leans on mine as I close my eyes. I can't breathe. You got me on mine. That first kiss that landed on my lips, the songs and lights at night was just right. Your hand leans on mine as I close my eyes. I can't breathe. You got me on my knees. You got me on my knees.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Is Big Daddy Cool Vinny Apsell along with Big Lou.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, and as a matter of fact, I didn't mention this during the conversation, but the whole reason behind me adopting the Big Daddy Cool, the Big Daddy Cool persona, so to speak, was because I was being bullied in school. And at the time, Kevin Nash was portraying Diesel in the WWE, and his nickname was Big Daddy Cool. I had long hair in high school. I had the long hair. It's not there anymore.
There's nothing up there, man. I'm getting there too, so that's why I shaved my head.
But, I had long hair. I had the goatee. I looked exactly like Kevin Nash or Mick Foley, depending on who you talk to. But everybody started calling me Big Daddy Cool, and it worked. But see, I took it to a whole new level because I amped up who I was.
Right.
And when I was the Big Daddy Cool character, so to speak, I had my personality turned up 110%. And I think that at that time that was a coping mechanism. Because of being bullied, and it's like you have fake friends in high school and people who were always talking behind your back, and and that's one of the things. And obviously I wasn't being bullied for the same reasons, but it was still a coping mechanism. And I think a lot of what Brody went through, really strengthened him.
Yes.
And really.
I think that, we used to text every day, talk on the phone, him and my wife, we'd be all texting to each other in the same room. And he has changed a lot of my direction in my life because the one thing that he teaches you just by talking to him is be yourself.
And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are closed-minded and ignorant to even hear that.
Right. No, of course, and that goes back to the difference between today and 20 years ago. Everybody's closed-minded now. They only want what's good for them. Right. They're not interested in anything new. No, it's not even what's good for them anymore. It's more about what's good for the authority, or whether it be a ministry or a job or whatever. People have lost their individualism. Right.
I'm dating a girl, depending on how. We haven't defined the relationship.
Is that the girl with the picture that you were on the internet with the other day?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's
Me and my wife were
listening right now. So.
Oh, my wife and I were talking about it. They were wondering, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'll ask him on Monday. So I'm not putting you on the spot because you're getting a little red.
And for you YouTube viewers, you probably see it too. We haven't defined anything, so to speak.
Right.
We've gotten a lot closer. But she really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff because before really talking to her, I was the same way. I was getting fed by the authority, by our church's ministry and how our church's stance on homosexuality and the LGBT movement is. Mm-hmm. And it all broke last night. let me tell you the story. And you know what? This may be, if anybody from my church listens to this, probably getting me excommunicated at this point. But whatever the case may be, somebody had sent out, not last night, the night before. Somebody had sent out an email, and I'm not going to name the person because I'm not about that. Somebody sent out an email, and I read the email, and I really got pissed off because it seems to me like the LGBT movement is the one sin that churches like to focus on as being the absolute worst ever. You know, when there's murderers out there, there are pedophiles, there are this, there are that.
Yeah.
Sin is sin, regardless of what,
things to really be concerned about.
Exactly. And this person, wrote an email, saying that to guard your children and your grandchildren because the LGBT movement is utilizing ABC and Disney to promote their movement. And he was going on how Michael Eisner, who's the former CEO of Disney, how he would allow gay days at Disney parks. Now, whether or not they promote the LGBT movement, I don't know. I've heard of gay days or whatever, but it's
about
not
unity, man.
Right, exactly. But see, here's the thing, and this is what really pissed me off, was that he wrote in there that Disney allowed lesbians and gays and everybody to perform lewd and obscene acts in the parks, out in the open, in front of families and children and whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well obviously, that number one, that's got to be number one. How could you put that stuff together and say something like that? Because if you were truly, if that was truly happening,
right,
all it would take is one phone call from any of the families that saw this stuff happening. The cops would be swarming on Disney.
Yeah. There
would be, 100,000 registered sex offenders in Florida because of that.
Absolutely.
And why would you end up, why I can't even fathom something like that happening, let alone Disney doing that, because how big of a media circus would that have been?
Do you think that a lewd act could be performed there publicly? No, it didn't happen. That's like going to an old Whalers game, and there's two people having sex right in the middle. That's not happening.
Right.
No, they're not going to let it happen.
Right.
So
I mean,
Mickey will pile drive you.
Yeah, right.
Goofy will be all up on your butt, man.
But it's still like, and there was also stuff saying that the majority of, Disney employees are. Yeah, I see that. Somebody just, maybe we'll get
right at this second.
Yeah, somebody posted Caitlyn Jenner's picture, which I'm sorry, but that's a very beautiful woman.
Yes, absolutely.
You would never know that's
have you heard of a couple of these really beautiful ones?
No, I haven't.
Transgenders.
I mean, the only one that really made news that I knew of was Chaz Bono, who went from female to male. But I really haven't had that much experience. So, that whole Disney thing I thought was absolutely ridiculous. And saying that, and who cares if the majority of Disney employees are LGBT supporters? That's just, amazing to me.
The thing is that when people are in transition, like, you get a lot of people in the adult industry who are in that transition just to, I don't know why, but then they transition, they're gone.
Yeah.
They got to where they want. Maybe they're feeding their depression
or
whatever,
making money for their surgery.
But I mean, they're
right.
This woman right here is ready.
Mm-hmm.
And she's right at the point where, she's ready to get rid of the what, and she's beautiful.
Yeah.
That you would never think that is a man.
You're right.
It's not happening.
No, it's amazing. And
it is.
I know, folks, that if you're just tuning in, this is called the Sportswire.
Yes.
We're going with the wire part of the Sportswire.
Yeah.
The fact that we're going, the Sportswire is not necessarily specifically about sports. It is, we do talk about sports and everything, but we also talk about pop culture and hot topics and stuff. Let's just say it's a view for the guys. Because, and there are women out there listening too. one of which I care deeply about. But
You.
But the fact of the matter is this: I talk about everything, and if you tune into some of my other shows, and it's amazing, how far science has come.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that science could ever replace God, because honestly, science has come through and really
Science can't disprove God.
Right, science can't disprove God, and it's proven God time and time again. The difference is now we as a society are at the point where we're able to feel the way God made us feel. And whether that be you're homosexual or that be you're transgender.
To a certain part of society.
Right.
Whoever's collectively supportive to all and any endeavor for anybody.
Right.
And then there are the outcasters who are, what did they used to call those? Anti-Semites or whatever? Yeah. Isn't that what Jerry called those? Anti-Semites or whatever? Jerry Seinfeld?
Yeah. But, could you imagine if this stuff was, now that you brought up Seinfeld, could you imagine if this movement was going on during the Seinfeld show airings?
Well, they have the same writers on Showtime doing shows.
Curb Your Enthusiasm was one.
Or HBO, too.
Yeah.
I mean, and the shows are brilliant.
Yeah.
They're writing, the writers of Seinfeld and Jerry Seinfeld himself is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like... It's practice, you know. It's like if we heard Jimi Hendrix right now play a guitar after spending the last 40 years. How would it be? The 35 years or something
like that. Yeah.
Right now he'd be he could play guitar sleeping.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that. But you understand what I'm saying,
right?
It's everything.
It is.
But the whole movement has boundaries, and as long as when those boundaries are infiltrated and they're removed,
right,
without anybody feeling some kind of way about it,
right,
then it's okay. But we've got a lot of people out there supporting this movement. We got a lot of people handling the business part of it, the promotional part of it, all this stuff. So whether you're gay, whether you're lesbian, whether you're transsexual, whatever you are, transgender,
right.
You've got a huge support network. If you are, reach out to these people.
And I'm really happy, and I want to thank you for bringing Brody on the show, because, quite honestly, transgenders are the group of the LGBT movement that are probably not lesser known, but lesser talked about. Everybody's talking about gay marriage and this and that, but same-sex marriage, but nobody really talks about the transgender movement.
Yeah, and it's still a little.
It's still new. It's
not just. It's like
still taboo.
Taboo. That's the word I'm looking for. It's still taboo. So, and the people it will come around. It's just like having African Americans. Any part of the bus.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's just gonna.
Absolutely.
But the Chinese will never learn how to drive.
You're right about that.
So,
but all right, well, folks, I want to thank you guys for coming on.
Okay.
You're gonna write something?
No, it's okay. No. If you're wrapping up, then we're good.
Oh, okay.
Okay. My wife had bariatric surgery, and I guess for the last hour she's been in the bathroom vomiting. So, I might need to make a run to the emergency room.
Gotcha. All right. Well, yeah, we'll wrap up. That's a good way to end the show. But I want to thank Second Skin and Brody Ray for the music that we played
and AJ
today, and AJ Jansen as well for the music we played today on today's show. I want to thank you guys for listening and watching as well. Our next live Sportswire will be on July the first Monday in July, which
first
I believe
Monday
is the 7th.
The first, I think.
No. It would be,
it would be the 7th. No, 6th.
July 6th. Mark your calendars. I will be back here. We're looking to have Coach Mark Welsh from the Connecticut Panthers just to go over their season.
You don't have to just come once a month,
Oh, I know.
You can come twice a month.
All
This was a good time.
It really was.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll take you up on that. But keep on checking all of our social media.
Yeah.
www.swe-ct.com. www.myfatcatradio.com. You can email me at sportswire@swe-ct.com or sportswire@myfatcatradio.com.
If you're a musician and you'd like to submit some music, biglou.cc, that's CECE, at Frontier, FRONTIER.com. Submit your music, or you can Big Lou at myfatcatradio.com. You know what? That's a lot easier. Big Lou at myfatcatradio.com. I'm just still getting used to that email. So, but you know, anybody, submit your music. You know, you get free airplay here no matter what. We do have promotional packages though.
Right. So. Exactly. You know, also like us on Facebook. Facebook.com/SportswireCT, Facebook.com/FatCatRadio Enterprise, and you know, follow us on Twitter
at Lou Russo 813
and at SWE Connecticut, and then Pinterest and Foursquare.
You're on Pinterest?
Yes, Pinterest, Foursquare, Tumblr, SoundCloud.
Dude, you're busy. That's because you work overnight, huh?
Well, honestly, it's because it's all about promotion.
Right, yes.
You can also download and subscribe to Sportswire on iTunes. Just go to iTunes, click on the podcast link, search Sportswire. You know, you look for our flame logo, and you could get all the newest episodes and all the newest attacks to your audiological senses right to your phone or iPad or whatever you listen to your iTunes on.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
it was a good time.
Thank you for having me.
It was a good time. Thank you.
All right.
I'm Big Lou.
And I'm Big Daddy Cool Vinny Apicella.
And you were listening to Sportswire.